I'm not camera ready. So this is why I'm not in the camera mode. I am getting ready to do a Cafecito break activity. So this is why you see our team member, that's Carlito Cafecito, and he's wearing a pavera hat. He wanted one because I did a video with him without one and I was wearing one, so he was jealous. And he's holding our Cafecito mic, which has been christened with a little smiley face for our Cafecito break happy hours. And that was given to me by the sign shaman, also known as Roberto from El Bronx. So, mi gente, I've got a couple of announcements to make. My intention is to share their X replay tomorrow at 8 a.m. We had an amazing conversation with patriots that you can go support. Big Red 1 guy and Red Daywalker 2. Those are the Instagram handles. And it was a great conversation hosted by yours truly, Mark 4NY, and Cozy at Cozy's Wellness. And New York X Space on Mondays is really a space for the New York freedom fighters, for folks who said no to the mandates, for folks who believe in their constitutional rights, to sort of gather, tune in, to report any boots on the ground actions, activity, and to move the conversation forward. It's not meant to be a bitch fest, but even though sometimes we do get into some slide conversations, but ultimately it's supposed to be a gathering of the minds, of sharing insights, perspectives, and moving the conversation forward, meaning we're sharing ideas and hopefully even solutions. And it's amazing because people, as we are seeing the fruits of all of our efforts, our little seedlings are sprouting. Some of these seedlings took decades to sprout, and there's an exhaustion upon many of us. So yeah, that's Carlito Cafecito. And so a couple of announcements. So yesterday, guys, I was a part of an interview. I was invited to be a part of an interview with Curtis Cost, and he was interviewing Dr. James Thorp, who is a famous GYN, OBGYN doctor, 40 years experience. He just wrote a book, and alarming details regarding the jab and pregnant women and miscarriages and hemorrhaging and all these difficult to hear things. We also had a couple there that shared their testimony of their daughter who took one of the Pfizer jabs, and very sadly, well, 2 of the Pfizer jabs, and very sadly that young lady is no longer with us. And goodness gracious, to have that moment and not to expect to hear that story, and then jumping into the X space, which I did right afterwards. I honestly, this is the first time I'm processing the story, so I'm sharing it with you guys. This is part of the hard part of what we do, is and how we pivot when you receive details, information, stories like that, testimonials that want to send you crying hysterically on the spot, and you have to hold composure because the people who are living and have lived the horror, they're composed and they're holding on, and you have to tap in to strength that you don't even think you have to hold it together. Porque yo quería, I wanted to have an emotional crying tantrum. My heart aches every single time I hear stories of people who have been injured by jabs, or who have passed away because of jabs, or just medical misdiagnosis and stuff. We find ourselves in a crisis where people don't feel They don't feel like they can go to the doctors. They don't feel like they can trust. I mean, there is so much healing and wholeness to be put together. And I pray that with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is now our HHS secretary, and all of the amazing doctors that are joining the efforts and will be, part of this endeavor in their ways and in the ways everybody knows best, that I really pray that collectively together, all of our efforts, all of our prayers, from boots on the ground, protesting, being squeaky wheels, I hope that all of our efforts are not in vain, and that I hope that we get to see justice. And I hope that before I leave this earth, I get to know that what we did collectively left a better world for the children, and also seeds, hopes, and dreams. I think that's what motivates me every day, is that, hello to everyone who's listening, I think that's what motivates me every day, is the children, is knowing and feeling lucky that while I was growing up, little dreams were seeded in my heart. And as I was looking upon the world, even though maybe some of those experiences were rough as a child, or maybe you wish you had more, or more resources, or etc., what wasn't lacking was love, and what wasn't lacking in my life was dreams, and what wasn't lacking was looking into the landscape of the future and feeling hopeful. And one of my greatest epiphanies for my sister and I, actually, it happened when we were called to open our little shop, which you guys know, if you guys know the story, one of the heartbreaks that we suffered in 2022 was having to close our little shop in Brooklyn after 9 years. And why is because we knew we were serving and in a niche of within the mental wellness, spiritual wellness landscape, and we also knew that there was a crisis in those areas. And how did we know that? We knew that because we found people from all sorts of ages, from high school kids to like grandmas and grandpas, coming to the little tiny shop in Brooklyn from all places, in sometimes from people from different parts of the world. We even had international travelers that would make it a point to stop at our shop just to check in, just to give us an update, to support the shop. So yeah, we weren't rolling in the dough with monies, but we were rolling in the dough when it came to the community that we built, that fortified us, that carried us during those really dark days of COVID. And we have a fractured society. We have people who don't trust. We have broken relationships in all realms, and we need to move towards healing. We need to move towards healing, and we need to move to having those hard conversations. Pero a la misma vez, we cannot just stay in the parts that hurt us. We need to enjoy ourselves and have more fun, which is why you see Carlito Cafecito there and our little microphone. That little microphone has witnessed stories that I wish I could unhear. In this journey of covering things, and you think you're covering a simple event or a happy-go-lucky event, and then someone out of nowhere, they just feel a connection, and then they open up and they share something that is so devastating to hear. And that has happened to my sister time and time and time again, with the thousands of people that we have been around, that we have spoken to, that we have helped, that we have served, that we have communicated with, whether we were on the mic or having a private conversation at our little shop. Most people that we were connecting with, they weren't looking for necessarily a teacher. They weren't looking for someone to tell them what to do and how to do it. They were simply looking for someone to listen, for someone to witness them, for someone to not judge them. And as a result, my sister and I have a beautiful community, a diverse community, a rainbow community filled with lots of human beings, all sizes, shapes, colors, and from the alternative community. We have a huge amount of friends from the LGBTQ plus community that we love, and we treasure them. We have friends who are hardcore Christians. We have friends who are hardcore leftists. We have friends who are hardcore right-wingers, conservatives, independents, hardcore psychics, healers, doctors. And guess what we've learned? The world is more magical with all of them in our lives. We learn, we get humbled by what they share. We get course corrected gently when they share things that we didn't know about. And you know, as long as we are alive, as long as God gives me the opportunity, we're going to continue to share our Cafecito breaks online, but preferably in person. So if you're around in Brooklyn and you want to join us on Wednesdays, you could tune in to our IG lives, which we'll be doing from Cafecito Boricua. We'll be doing some promotional hits to also to support the restaurant that we are at. This is a restaurant that we've visited for many, many years, that we have done a small business spotlight on before. We've interviewed, we've demanded several times. This was a business that went from 24 hours before the great COVID mandates to now reduced hours. You know, this business was hit hard during the mandates. They have been around for over 28 years. And we want them to be around longer. It's a family restaurant. We need to preserve these treasures. Small businesses are the backbones of a community. When my sister and I had to close our doors in 2022, our biggest heartbreak was letting down our community, especially the young people who had discovered Botanikal and found it to be a place where they could just literally sit on a floor cushion and sometimes just cry their eyes out. We had so many people that would just come in. I mean, I remember one time, I think it was early, I wasn't even expecting any customers, and a beautiful, very, very, very pregnant, almost about to give birth woman comes in, and she was crying her little eyes out. And she just walking into the store, and the first thing she says is, "I don't know why I'm even walking in here. I just felt this intuition to come in." And when I looked into her eyes and I saw her tears, humanity sets in. You don't question, you don't do anything, you just know. And all I know and all I knew to do at that time was walk toward her, and intuition, I opened my arms and she just walked right in. And she was crying hysterically in my arms. No words were said. But this was the power of Botanikal. This was the power of what my sister and I created in that small, tiny space. We created a little hearth, a little sanctuary where many people, activists, people who tirelessly served their community, would take a moment and sit and cry with us and share how hard it is to serve community, how hard it is to want to empower young people, how hard it is to hear their stories. Many of the people we supported at Botanikal also were in supportive capacities, whether they were lawyers or social workers or therapists or even doctors. They found themselves in our little spiritual wellness metaphysical shop. Even pastors and priests. Why? Even local elected officials in that tiny spot. There was nothing there but just little, not but just, but it was like a small store with a few items, some crystals, some incense. They were coming there for the non-judgment zone, for what we were truly creating, which was a safe space. Not where you feel like, so a safe space where you could feel vulnerable and you could feel seen and not judged, but where we were also going to be truthful and honest with you. And sometimes that wasn't received well. Sometimes people weren't ready, and sometimes and again, we weren't pushy. We weren't there pushing any doctrines on anyone. It was more about, how can we serve you? And when they opened up and they asked a question, and sometimes I already knew, I don't know if you want to know the answer, I would tell them, are you sure you really want to know the response to this? And sometimes it would be like, I don't know if you should be moving towards this direction. I think you need to heal. I think you need to focus more on yourself. And sometimes people were like, no, I'm good. I'm great. I've done all the healing I did. And then they would go other places, get taken for lots of monies. They didn't appreciate free advice. Next thing you know, months later, they're back at Botanical, looking worse, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars gone from their account, and coming again to the Perez sisters, inquiring for just our simple insights, and realizing that they could have saved themselves a ton of headaches and money had they only listened to simple, sound wisdom and guidance. We're there, and we will continue to be here as long as God gives us the opportunity. Right now, I guess the Perez sisters are technically on the road since we don't have a little shop, a place, but we're happy that Gran Morelos restaurant has opened this opportunity for us, and we hope that you guys can join us and make reservations because space is limited. And thank you for everyone that did join us last week. The owner was so happy, and it was just perfect. It was just like the most perfect experience, and a great first start to this. Other things I'd like to share is, remember, Mondays we are doing, every Monday 9 p.m. via Cafecito break, we host the New York Freedom Fighter X Space. So stay tuned for upcoming guests and show topics. And again, that's hosted by Cozy's Wellness and Marfa and Y. Also want to shout out Cozy's Pure Soaps. I have been using his vanilla mint and I love it. They are so aromatic. As you know, Cozy lost his job. He's one of the fired healthcare workers. He makes amazing, beautiful soaps. If you want to support Cozy and share the good word and buy his soaps, he also sells merch. As in regards to the Perez sisters, ways that you can support us, guys, we have a Substack. You could become a membership, you could make little donations, or you could, we also have a merch shop, and we're going to be creating more designs, and you could buy a design on that shop. Or even if you are within our inner circle of trust and you have an idea that you think would be a great money making idea for the Perez sisters, we won't say no. We are also looking for sponsors. Hopefully we can attract a sponsor for the activities that we're doing. We're hoping to attract a sponsor for our Monday spaces, or a variety of sponsors. We're figuring that out. That's with Mark and Cozy. And also we'd like to attract a sponsor for our happy hours. That is all. I need to start getting ready for the duties of the day. Love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Please subscribe and support all things Cafecito Break and the Freedom Fam. Love you guys. Have the most amazing day.